SocaMom.com, and it is book club night. Yay, yay! Everybody's
Hello.
throwing confetti. We're
Hola.
excited. So, so tonight, you guys tell everybody who's on. Some of y'all start telling who's here.
I am Michaela of
Carry
Silent
on, Chris.
Vibe.
Oh, there we go. Okay, wait. You know what?
The
I'll
two
just do it.
Jamaicans.
You know what? I'll just do it.
I knew that would happen.
So we are having a few technical difficulties. Your regulars are here. We have Alicia, we have Elle, we have Joel, we have Carrie, and we have, I want to say Michaela. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay, because I don't get names right. I don't know what I called, what did I call her? I don't know. Somebody else that I was talking about, her name was dead wrong on the last hangout that I did. I mean, just dead wrong. So I have to ask, am I right? So we have been discussing, we were supposed to be on at 8:30. The author hasn't been able to make it yet, but we've been discussing the fact that we're kind of spoiled here in this book club because we don't seem to know how to do this without the author being here to talk to us. Like, we're just like, what does that even mean? So apparently, I've heard that in regular book clubs, you just talk to each other. Like, that's
Who does that?
I don't know. I don't know. So we're gonna try.
Anybody got time for that? I need
So
the author and the authoress to be present.
Right. I mean, we're just kind of rotten that way. So we're gonna try to do this like normal people, but
We ain't normal.
I don't know. I don't know. So there might be a good bit of cutting up because we're usually probably on our better behavior because the author is there.
It's true.
So tonight
we have autopsy. We know how to behave in front of
exactly.
company, but you know.
But if the author's not here, we are free to have no behavior at all. So this we're gonna try to keep it nice, but you know how it is. You know how it is. So anyway, tonight we are discussing The Secret Life of Winnie Cox. It's set in British Guyana. Well, what was British Guyana, and it's about an interracial couple in a time when it was basically forbidden. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, then you can see the description. It's by Sharon Maas, and it's a pretty good read. It's long. Everybody agree that it's pretty long?
Yes. 354 pages.
Right. So it's definitely a longer one of the longer ones that we've done, but you know, it moves quick. All right. So who wants to start as far as the background? Who wants to how about Carrie? You tell us. I know you were really hype about the historical part of it. So tell us a little bit about the setting and stuff like that and what people can expect. As far as the background, who wants to, how about Carrie? You tell us. You were really hype about. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's just like
is somebody playing at the same time? I feel like it's playing somewhere at the same time.
There's an echo.
I can hear an echo. Yeah, I'm here. I just felt like I heard an echo, so I wasn't sure which one I'm hearing.
No, it's you. You're good.
So, what I loved about the book, but what was also embarrassing, it was just like it's set in Guyana, and I'm like, why didn't I ever think Guyana had? I mean, I knew, but it was just like, wow, Guyana went through all of this. It was just like a whole new world for me, because I think for the most part we know what happened in Jamaica, Haiti, Trinidad, everywhere else, but this whole new world, and I loved that, you know, because when I read, I look stuff up, and everything that she was pointing out, I was like, pause, Wikipedia, she was on point. So I wanted to know what inspired her to write this story. Does she have some ancestors in this background of the story? Because it was just so vivid. You know, it was just like, wow, this story is just like, she pulled us in. The way she described the cane fields, everything.
Well, she's Guyanese, right? The author is from Guyana herself.
Yes. So yeah, I figured some families in there, but I love the historical aspect of it. And I just loved that it was about Guyana, and I didn't read a lot of stories that involved slavery, indentured servants, and just understanding that dynamic, especially with the large Indian population. It was just
Mhm.
very interesting to see that play out, and I liked it. If she were here, I wanted to ask her, like, so yeah, so tell me what led you
Look at our spoiled people.
Look, already typical Jamaican thing.
yeah.
Say
I
only
mean,
Jamaica have slavery history in it.
no,
And
but
only Jamaica produce
this is
sugar
why
cane.
I like the book, because the book puts in Guyana and their history on the map. Because really and truly, how many other books talk about it? Not many. So this is why it's just like,
No.
yeah, I like it.
But also to be completely honest, especially in reading the beginning of the book, like I saw the cover and I got that it was an interracial relationship, but I didn't right off the bat think that Winnie was white. Like I didn't like off
Me
the bat
too.
figure that one, she was the protagonist, and two,
Mhm.
that I was like, wait a minute, Winnie's white. Because then when it wasn't until you started to evolve the story, and I kind of drew a lot from the story because my on my dad's side, my great grandparents are from Welsh, so they're from they that's their kind of their history in Jamaica,
Mhm.
for my grandmother on her side. So then when I started to kind of like I'm like, wait a minute, no, she's white. And then as she really started to, describe her upbringing and how much she loved being in Guyana. Like it was her home, unlike her older sister. The two younger sisters really had an affinity for the island and the way that they grew up, very similar to like how our parents and we grew up.
Mhm.
Love having such a love. Like she didn't even really come to the realization that was she was that different until I mean, I'll give away the story, but until the incident with her father, and some of the field workers. So in her mind, she had this whole entire island love perception that we all have, and it quickly came to an end within one episode.
But I mean, do you think that love kind of came from a different place? Like it was a place of privilege that I don't think.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
I
it
mean,
was idyllic to her. It was there
yeah.
was they were so naive and in this bubble, because when they went to is they went to the Logis and they
Mm.
Mm.
discovered the atrocity and they come up with this elaborate plan. I was laughing because that was straight comedy to me.
No,
I
what
was
was
just
funny
like,
to me, it was like, Daddy's gonna fix it.
yes, no,
Girl,
That
girl.
no.
shows how extremely protected they were. And you can tell a lot from it, where the father keeps saying, um, the cane business is for men,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
Yeah.
girls supposed to not to worry their little head, pretty little heads about it. You can see that they were extremely, extremely protected and sheltered. And I can't relate to it per se, but I can see that happening because even in the history of most of the islands where you had the plantocracy, they did not mix with people. They were pretty shielded and protected, and they lived a life that was very as much um, a copy of the British life.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Good. So I can understand that. I definitely can understand that.
For me, I thought it was very interesting. Just going back to the setting a minute,
Mm.
I thought it was interesting how I was like, you think about slavery in the 1800s, but this book was actually in the like around 1910, and so
Mm.
it was much later. So like they're
Yeah.
talking about modern things, and you're like, wait a minute, they had those, and then you
Right,
have to
Yeah.
right.
think, wait a
Yeah,
minute, this is
because
not from
slavery
this
ended,
time.
indentured service took the place of slavery. In other words, the,
Right.
yeah, the workers. they need a source of cheap labor, so they go and
Mm.
take indentured servants from India
India.
and other parts of the world.
Right.
So it just prolonged it in using a different set of people. And
They called it indentured servants, but they were really treated like slaves.
Right. It was.
A
Did
cover.
you guys see any parallels between that time in America? Like how
Yeah,
the whole thing about like what, like
sharecroppers.
don't look at me directly,
Oh
or
Right.
yeah.
make sure to speak to me a
Hmm.
certain way and things like that, or go around to the back. It's like even though
Yeah.
slavery wasn't technically happening,
That
there
kind of
was
surprised me, actually. I don't know why I didn't expect that. Like, I spent the first half of the book like, like shocked because
right,
I can, with the first time she says darkie, and I'm like, what? Who are you talking
right,
to? How you?
right.
I'm used
No,
to that language and whatnot, referring to the states, but and I know in my head that it must have happened that way or in a similar way in the West Indies, but to know that, the whole he looked at me very familiar, or go around the back, and when the younger girl Yo-Yo is talking to George so dismissively, I'm just like, oh, it's it comes to life. It's not just a history lesson anymore, and it's like, oh, people actually went through this outside of the United States.
Mm.
I think one of the things that was very important and distinct about this book, and which is probably distinct with Trinidad and Guyana particularly, was the reversal. So the darkies were in the house and the Indians were in the field, right? And for the most part, I think with Trinidad and Guyana having very large in a population of Indian descent, I thought like, wow, this is interesting, seeing, because again, Eva, with the American narrative of the light-skinned ones are in the house and the darker ones
Mhm.
are in the field, it was just like the darkies are graded or rated higher than the indentured servants, and it was just very interesting to me.
Well,
I
That
thought
was
it's
shocking.
it's it seemed to me that that was more of a cultural thing,
Hmm.
because the African descendants, they've kind of been trained at this point, like how, like it's been hundreds of years of how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to behave, how what's expected of you. But the indentured servants don't have that same hundreds of years of basically training
Okay.
to
Yeah, that's
be
a
in
good
that
point.
house. You know what I'm saying? To be right next to them. They've still got a lot of, older. They still got their culture basically,
Right.
and
Right.
even
you
the
know,
gardener, remember when she tried to give him the clothes, Gopal, I believe his name is, he said,
mhm,
we've been here 30 years,
right,
right?
right, right,
And I was like, oh, indentured servitude is that new? Is that new?
yeah,
So I felt like the African descendants they were already free by then. They already
yeah,
had their own villages and whatnot. So they had a place in society.
right,
Where
right.
the Indians were like still were the new slaves
Mm.
and treated as such.
So when you guys, um, how did you guys feel when you started to see I don't know, like did you want a romance to come out of this? Did you feel like,
No.
okay?
Mm-mm.
I didn't want to be the person to be like, I
Not at
didn't, I
Fruit,
wasn't
all.
like
feeling it.
forbidden fruit.
Oh my God.
I mean, were you like, how you are in the movies, like, don't do it, girl, don't do it. I mean, were you
When he grabbed her and kissed her, I was like, no! I
like,
hope
it's
nobody
done?
saw that. Oh my God, run, boy, run! What are you
Right.
doing?
It's like, why is this book so long? Because you about to die. I mean, it's gonna be over any minute now anyway.
No. Oh my
But
God, that was.
it definitely made me think of all of those movies that we've watched, where you see it about to happen, you're like, don't. It wasn't like a traditional love story where you're like, you want to see them pulled closer together, and
Hmm.
Mhm.
it's like I wanted to see the tension, but I didn't want anything to happen
Right.
necessarily.
Do you think that was a result? I think she said it like she was a shrinking violet, and he was the first person to kind of pay attention to her because she to me it seemed like she was pining for love of her mom, and so he
Mm.
really became the substitute that gave her attention and made her feel like, I exist,
Mm.
you know.
Well, yeah, she was also supposed to marry her cousin.
Yeah. I
But
Which
think
is
it's,
that's
disturbing.
normal back
She
in
didn't
those
have
days.
she didn't have many options either.
I
So
think,
she was probably like,
Leave it to Michaela to be like, like,
or this
look,
handsome
Michaela, that
darky.
I
was
think that has
normal.
No, I know.
Yeah, too much.
I
Sorry,
would say I think that has had a lot to do with it. But
mhm,
the other thing, what I found about her is that she was at a point where her world kind of like got turned upside down. Now she's in
mm,
a protected bubble, and then she goes out of the bubble for the first time in her life, and she realizes that, it's a whole different world out there. It's a world that's not the fairy tale dream like she's living in, and it kind of gets everything upside down. That and the fact that she's 16 years old. She's going through a whole lot of emotional turmoil at the same time.
mm.
So, yes, she's pining for the love of her mother. Yes, she's kind of like the sister who fades away and nobody pays attention to her. But then she's in this emotional turmoil where she needs some kind of stability and she doesn't know which way to go.
But but like, I don't know that that's where I would look for stability though. Because that's probably like the most unstable thing you could possibly do right then.
And
But
I
she
I
don't
mean,
didn't
think
know
so
that.
either.
She
And
didn't know
no,
that.
but she knew that. I think she did
She
yeah,
was
because
she
on
would
a
have to know that that was like, I don't know if it was necessarily stability or kind of like,
affection,
hmm She
because she
lived a very
knew this.
isolated life.
Yeah. She knew this because, she resisted it. She said at one point she was crying out for help, and she said she wasn't sure who was going to hear her for help, and nobody answered. She resisted it. She knew it. She played it out in her head. Um, but I think she alluded to it. He saw her, and then because he's so bright, dry eye, look in her eye, and all of these things, right? you know she's so used to people bowing and all of that, so for somebody to kind of, all right, I'm here, I'm George, here's your mail,
Mm.
and just steer her down, it's like, wait a minute, what's happening?
She was
um
immediately.
yeah, so she wasn't used to that. Never see come see, that's what we call it, right?
What?
So
What happened?
she never saw it, so it's just like she's never experienced someone with a boldness that she said, but it wasn't disrespect. It was, he was very sure of himself, and I think that was appealing to her,
hmm
especially since she was unsure of herself, because to me it seemed like she tried to win the affection, and clearly she's the middle child, she have middle child issues, and so she tried to win the affection of her mother until at some point it seems to me like she was trying to become the mother, like
Mm.
in the activities she was picking up, and you know just the identification, and maybe that's why the mother do what she do. You never know. I'm
Don't
just
give a
saying.
story.
Me not give away the story, but to see if the author was, you see, spoiled people have no behavior. Like,
One of
listen.
one of the things I loved about the story is the diaries of the mother.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
Yes,
I
that
have
was really
tried,
good.
I have tried writing before where I have a present day situation and diaries that's talking about things that happened like 70, 80 years ago.
Hmm.
And I broken it off midway because I realized it takes you out of the story.
Hmm.
Each in entry for me took me out of the story. But for this book, the entries don't take you out of the story at all. It kind of like, coalesces and smooth. I don't know. I wanted to ask her how she was able to make that smooth transition between the diary entries and the present day. I really wanted her to be here tonight to ask her that. I really would like to know how
I
to
feel
get that
like
smooth
I felt
transition.
like they were smooth because the mother, the daughter is Winnie's kind of
Mirroring.
mimicking and mirroring the mother's journey
Yeah.
with her,
Yeah.
you know, not exactly, but so similar. And so,
Very
like,
parallel.
her entries were happening at the same time and the same feelings and emotions. And so, in just, you know, however many years apart, 1890 to 1910. So it was very interesting to see the two
Mhm.
juxtaposed.
I think that the mother, like her longing for the mother, also helped give a good segue because where a mother would normally give advice, she could
Hmm.
go to the journal entry and kind of have that yearning fulfilled because she couldn't necessarily just ask her mother, and so it kind of gave that parental part that she would not otherwise have.
But she wasn't reading the diary, right? I,
No, she wasn't.
And
I think
I
the
mean,
diary was just
that's for us to know the her mother's
yeah.
backstory.
we did read the diary, but it was not when it was being entered. She read the diary towards the end of the book itself.
Oh, I didn't get there yet. Wait. I'm still reading.
Yes, we're not there yet.
So I have a question because you know, I always like to relate it to like ourselves, I guess. When you do you see anything in her that reminds you of your teenage self, of you guys? Like anything in her, like the way that she was?
Oh my God, yes.
Always just like,
I
Yes.
think the great thing about it is it's typical teenage love. That's really your eyes wide, your heart across the street. You know what I mean? It's always with that person, and you can reminisce about your own feelings from that time. So the fact that she's in her adolescent years and you can still you can still relate in a sense that to that romance, and not only that, you know, at that age, I know me personally, you know, it's always the hot boy then where you know that you're looking at the forbidden guys. So
Oh
it's
my
like, you know, sorry Kirk, but I mean at that time that's you know that was what was in and what was popular. You know, you wanted the guy that you couldn't have, and I mean I think it's true for guys too. They want, you know, the hottest things in sliced bread, but I think that's something that we can all relate to, wanting to being rebellious against not only the times but our parents a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, and going against the norm in order to form our own identity and make our own decisions.
Thank you. I think that's what's kind of the point I was trying to make earlier in terms of the her bubble bursting and whatnot.